Well, welcome back to Drone and Phone. It's the fourth of our Gear You Need episodes. I'm going to be talking about trail running. I'm going to give you 10 things I think you need when out for a run. Right, time to go running. Now, for full transparency, we are supplied gear by Kailas. It's a premium brand and we love their stuff, but there's a lot of other companies out there and we suggest you do your own research before picking up something for you to go out on the trails. Now, I'm going to start with the shirts. And there are two basic options, one with a sleeve and one without a sleeve. Now the shirts are important because they have a lot of contact with your body and you're likely to get chaffing in different places, which can be very unpleasant on a long run. Now I prefer to have one with a short sleeve because I tend to get chaffing under the arms, but you may also want to consider one without, which is slightly better for ventilation and breathability, which is the first thing you need to look out for in a shirt. This one's also got lots of holes in it, which obviously means that it's going to be cool. You will also want a shirt that is anti-moisture wicking, so that means as you sweat it will wick the moisture away from you, that it's quick drying, that's also important, and the weight of the shirt. This is a super light shirt. You don't want something that is very heavy on you. You certainly don't want a cotton shirt. Something like this is absolutely fine. Now, once you've got your shirt sorted, it's time to start thinking about your shorts, and there's just a few things you need to think about. Start off with something that is lightweight, that is comfortable. You may want to have some nylon into the material. We talked about polyester before, about this fantastic material for wicking away the sweat. Well, nylon will make it a little bit more stretchy, which means it clings to you and they don't fall down when you're running. Now, there are some other options as well. Firstly, pockets. I like to have pockets, some people don't, but you need to choose one or the other. And then there are shorts with some additions that I'm going to talk about later in this episode. First, some with compression, so they have a compression stocking inside, and another that has these waistband built in with some mesh to be able to put water, keys and other things that you're carrying built into that. Now I'm going to talk about that later on in this episode. Now in Hong Kong there's only really 3 items of clothing you need to worry about when you're running: shirt, short and socks. And of those 3, socks is probably the most important. Start by getting a material in your socks that wicks away the sweat. You do not want your feet to stay damp. That will increase the chances of getting blisters. The other thing you may want to think about is compression socks, like these ones here, that keep the foot tight. You also may want to get them coming up over your calves, or get separate compression socks just for the calves. Now the compression will do 3 things. It will reduce the tiredness, the fatigue in the muscle. It will also increase the blood circulation and it will reduce soreness at the end of the run. Now in Hong Kong, when we're running, we very rarely need anything more than a shirt. But it is important always to take a waterproof jacket just for emergencies. It is compulsory on a lot of the ultra marathons. Now, for the waterproof jacket, we need something that has some kind of protectiveness. Normally they ask for a hydrostatic head of 10,000. If you don't know what that means, go and look at our hiking episode when I go into some detail on that. So there are 3 things that we really want to balance. The weight of it, so it needs to be something that is light as possible. The breathability, in case we do need to run in it. And finally, the water resistance. That's always going to be a compromise, and you want to ask those 3 questions when you're looking to buy one. You also want one that packs down really tight and small, that you can stuff in your pack, because most of the time that's where it'll be. Now the nature of trail running means that often you're by yourself in the mountains, in places where the weather can change very suddenly. We know from very sad experience in a trail race in Gansu just a few years ago, where more than 20 people died as a result of bad weather coming in when they weren't expecting it. So we need two emergency features. We've talked about the waterproof jacket. That should be combined with an emergency blanket like this one that you can pull out at any time. Now you can buy these that you can reuse, which are slightly heavier, or you can just buy a cheap one like this one, which is actually less than 20 Hong Kong dollars, that you throw in your pack and you only take it out in an emergency. But it could be the difference between life and death, and you should have it with you. If you do an ultra trail race, they will insist that you have, but I suggest just throw it in the back of your pack. It's super light, you'll forget about it, but if you need it, it's going to be important. Now when it comes to shoes, you want to spend a little bit of time getting the right shoe for you. Everyone is going to be different. That's a key message in this part, and not one shoe is going to fit all feet. Now, when it comes to the actual materials, we tend not to use Gore-Tex shoes in Hong Kong. They're designed for much worse climates than we have here. We have a lot of humidity, so we want to get water out the shoe rather than keeping water from getting in the shoe. So we normally just go for mesh, and then the grip, of course. The grip is very important, that you get a good solid grip that works on the terrain that you're working on. Now when it comes to cost, there's no real correlation between having a more expensive shoe and having a better shoe. It's the one that fits you. When you pay more money, you tend to get a better quality build, which means they're more durable, they'll last longer. You might get better ankle support and better cushioning, but that's not necessarily things that you need to look for. There is some new technology with carbon plates like these ones have in here, which will allow you to run slightly faster. Now the downside is that you don't get as much from your training session because it's going to make it easier for you. But if you're into racing, you may want to look at these, but that you're going to pay a lot more money for a carbon plated shoe. Now an important thing to consider is how you're going to carry the things that you need when you're out running. Water is essential, whether you're just out for 1 or 2 hours or whether you're out for the whole day. Now for short runs, I like to use these waist mesh systems. Very simple, they just have mesh on a stretchy band that goes around your waist. It doesn't jump around, and you can put water and other things into the mesh, and you really don't notice it when you're running. For longer runs, particularly if you're doing an ultra trail race, in which case you're going to have a set of equipment that is compulsory to carry with you, you're going to consider a vest. Now the vests have different capacities from about 7 litres up to 15 litres. You choose what you think you need and how comfortable it fits. The fit obviously is very important. You want something that you feel comfortable running with. On this one, I want to try to have things in the back that I don't need as I'm running. So that would be my water resistant top, my safety blanket, a bladder to keep water in if I need extra water. And then on the front, things that you can access as you run. So here in this case, my mobile phone, I've got some gels and things, a soft flask here as well, my glasses, which I might need, anything that you don't want to take the pack off, or you can actually access them as you go along. Now, as I said before, this needs to feel comfortable. It needs to be able to fit everything that you need in. So take time to look around and get something that works for you. Now, if you want to do an ultra marathon or a night run, you're going to need a good headlamp. And there are 6 things that you need to consider. The first would be just the power of the light. For most camping needs, you don't need a powerful light. In fact, to read in a tent, you only need about 20 lumens. But for trail running, you need somewhere between 600 and 900 lumens to stay safe. The second is the durability. You don't want a light that's going to break down on you halfway through. So get a good quality water-sealed, weather-sealed light that's going to deal with whatever comes at you during the night, so it keeps going. If your light goes, that's the end of your race. And also on that topic, battery life. You need one that's going to have a battery that's going to keep going. So check that before you go about buying one. We've also got comfort. Having a comfortable light is going to really help when you run. You don't want something that bounces around or chaffs as you go along. And then there's the beam pattern. For trail running, you kind of need quite a wide beam pattern because there's lots of dangers around and you need to make sure you know what's around you. but when you get onto a road, you need a more focused light that's going to save the battery a little bit. You don't need such a bright light that's going to go too wide. And then finally, there's reactive lighting. This is a new technology that will adapt to the situation. It will automatically change the focus pattern and the amount of light depending on the situation you're in. Now, one of the things that I always take with me when I'm out on a run is my running watch. The running watch's primary purpose is just to measure distance and time, and there's no evidence that buying a more expensive watch will give you a more accurate reading. It's just the consistency that may be better. Now, also on top of the running watch, you will want to think about battery life. If you want to do ultra, once you turn on the GPS tracking, you'll find that these will run out of battery very quickly. Now, a good quality one will mean that you will be able to last to the end of the race. So think how long you expect to be running for and make sure you have a watch that lasts that amount of time. There's some other functions as well, things like music, other health data like your heart rate and other things that you may want to follow. I find it most useful when connected to an app like Strava that allows me to run certain segments and race against myself. I find it very motivational, particularly when I'm on my own, to go out and try and beat my personal best. That said, I've got to get going. Now, if you run for less than 90 minutes, you probably don't need any food with you on the trail. For more than that, you want to start replenishing as early as possible. You're going to lose up to 1,000 calories in 1 hour, and you could only replenish between 150 and 300 an hour. So the earlier you start taking on foods, the better. Now, 4 types of foods I would suggest. The first are in the powder form or tablet form that we talked about on the co-steering episodes, which are electrolytes that you put into your water supply. The second would be a gel. A gel will give you something a little bit more solid and give you a real energy boost. They're packed with carbohydrates, lots of sugar in there that's going to get you going up and going very quickly. And then thirdly, maybe thinking about a bar. This is something again that you can take as you're doing a climb. You can take out of your pocket and it will give you something a bit more solid to chew on. And finally, if you're doing an ultra marathon, you're going to find at the checkpoints they're going to offer solid foods, real foods, and you should consider a bowl of noodles or some rice or some cake or a sandwich, something that tastes a little bit better. These get very monotonous on a long trail and you're going to want something different, but you need to keep replenishing those calories. That's it for this episode. We have 4 other episodes that you'll find on our website at droneandphone.com and also on our YouTube channel. In those you'll find some other bits of equipment we didn't have time to get to today, but they are relevant to trail running, so be sure to go check them out. For now, my name's DJ and this is Drone and Phone. See ya!